Dave Lapham has been working for the Bengals Radio Network for over 30 years, former offensive tackle with the Bengals. Good to have him back on the show. Take me back to training camp, Dave. What was the Bengals, I guess, personality like after losing the Super Bowl?
You know, Dan, it was interesting at training camp because Joe Burrow had the appendectomy. So, Joe was healing. I mean, Joe couldn't go. He wasn't practicing. The offensive lineman, Collins, had a back problem. Kappa had a hip flexor issue that he had to have surgery on. They were beaten up. And so it's like, man, got all these new offensive linemen. They can't work. They can't practice together. Quarterbacks driving around on a golf cart. I mean, our leader is disabled right now. It was kind of like, what's going on, but they still thought they had the core of a damn good football team. And then Joe Burrow healed up. They start off 0-2. They go -5. Joe plays in the opener, and he was not himself. They go 5 turnover 5 times. They go -5 and still could have won the game. Missed an extra point, missed a field goal in overtime, missed an extra point at the conclusion of the game that would have won it. I mean, so it's like this is still a good football team. Since then, 13 out of 15, 10 in a row. I mean, they just got healthy. Everybody, realized, hey, if we do our part of what 1/11th of what we're supposed to do when we're out there on the football field, we're pretty good. And they, I thought they played, from a timely standpoint, their most complete game of the year. I thought that they played a clean game. They had no turnovers. They only had 2 penalties, 2 false starts for 9 yards, 2 penalties for 9 yards. So they played a clean game. They played a complete game, and they played a complimentary football game. The 3 C's. You can't beat the 3 C's, man.
What was the atmosphere like in Buffalo?
They were very confident. The fan base was extremely confident. The Bills were very confident, and meteorologically, the atmosphere was funky. I mean, it was chilly. It was pretty cold. The wind chill was in the 20s. It was snowing, big flakes at times, pretty good size ones. But the good thing is, Dan, no wind. The wind was negligible, and I was surprised because I thought, man, you got funky weather like that. Normally off the lake, here comes the wind, and it was very, very still. The flags were still. The little banners on top of the goalposts were, just flaccid, just sitting there. They weren't moving. So thought, well, they can still throw the ball, can still kick it pretty well. So and they just went out and just, the hell with the elements. We're just going to the thing that they did, Dan, that they wanted to do. This football team now is 10-0 when they score first. They like to land the first punch, and they landed the first punch, and they staggered the Buffalo Bills. They staggered Josh Allen and the Bills, and then they chased them into the corner and just kept throwing body shots. They never let up on it. So it was like a heavyweight fight. You hit the big overhand right or the hook or whatever you hit, stagger them, and then just TKO, just get after them and finish them. And that's pretty much what they did all day long. I mean, they had an offensive line, Dan, that had 3 new starters.
I know.
I mean, in 3 weeks in a row, they lose a starting offensive lineman. And that group goes out and runs the ball for over 170 yards on a defense that was like number 2 in the NFL in rushing yards allowed, 170 yards. And as a result, Joe Burrow only gets sacked 1 time and gets hit 2 others. Joe Burrow now, in the last 2 seasons, when he's sacked 3 times or less, he's 23 wins, 3 losses. Protect Joe Burrow. He's pretty good.
Have you figured him out personality-wise?
That's a good question, Dan. He is. I think he works to make it difficult to figure him out. He is a very, very intelligent guy. Has a very, very broad base of interests. He's not a one-trick pony guy. I mean, he's got a lot going on. He is one sharp dude, and I'll tell you, he is a football savant. I can tell you that. This guy is the Albert Einstein of football, man. He's got the answers to the test, and he ain't cheating. He knows it, man. And he's got a confidence as a result of it. He's got an earned confidence that is just, borders on cocky. He's got the swagger, and boy, his teammates respond to him. I mean, it is unbelievable. He is definitely the duck leading the ducklings. I mean, it's like everybody else is a little line behind the big duck man, and he's taking the ducklings down to the pond.
Fair to make the comparison to Joe Montana?
I think it is fair. I think that's a good comparison. I really do. I think they're very similar. I think Joe might have a little bit stronger arm than Joe Montana, but I think he hit a great one because Joe Montana had that kind of football mind. He had that kind of charisma where his teammates, followed his lead. And the big thing, and Paul Brown used to say this, and it's so simple, but it's so true. I remember, I was talking to him about quarterback playing. He goes, David, the simple thing about quarterbacks is the most important thing is the simplest thing. They got to throw it straight. They got to be accurate with the football. And man, Joe Burrow can put it in the eye of a needle from 50 yards away. And that's what Joe Montana could do. Kenny Anderson, all the great quarterbacks that, had that accuracy, pinpoint accuracy.
Always great to talk to you. Save that voice for next weekend. You're going to need it.
I know it's going to be fun, man. Dan have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 3 times in a calendar year. It could be a fourth in less than 13 months if they can do it again. Are the Bengals in the Chiefs' heads, or are the Chiefs going to be like, that's enough. 3 in a row is enough. We gotta stop this one. It's going to be interesting out there.
Good to talk to you as always, Dave. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the invitation. You're the best.
It's Dave Lapham. He's been doing the color commentating for the Bengals Radio Network for over 30 years. He's right there. He's a fan with a microphone.